BRICS is the acronym for an association of 5 major emerging national economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. In 2014, BRICS countries accounted for over a quarter of the world's land area, more than 40% of the world's population, and had a combined nominal GDP equivalent to approximately 20% of the gross world production. The BRICS primary energy supply for 2014 was around 37% of the world primary energy supply. This means that these 5 countries require more than 1/3 of the global energy. However, remarkable differences are present among these countries in terms of quantity and type of resource demand. As far as Brazil, its total primary energy demand has doubled since the 90s on the back of strong economic growth and the emerging of a new middle class. Strong growth in electricity consumption and in demand for transport fuels has led the way. Almost 45% of the country's primary energy demand is met by renewable energy, making Brazil's energy sector one of the least carbon-intensive in the world. Bioenergy is a successful example of good governance in energy policy. Both through the introduction of mandatory blending levels of ethanol with gasoline domestically produced, ethanol has regularly met between 13 and 21% of Brazil's demand for road transport fuel since 1990. Overall, bioenergy accounts for more than 1/4 of primary energy demand. Brazil's energy system is well adapted to bioenergy use, an essential component being the rapid growth over the last 10 years of a flex-fuel vehicle fleet capable of running either on gasoline, ethanol, or any mixture of the two. The Russian energy scenario is mainly based on fossil fuels, which account for about 90%. While oil, and in part coal, have followed the bumpy ride since the early 90s, the gas sector has had a much more stable levels of output, thanks to the supergiant fields brought on stream in the 80s. Nowadays, Russia produces far more energy than what it consumes internally. Indeed, energy dominates Russia's overall export mix, accounting for around 2/3 of exports by value. The bulk of these exports were transported westward along well-established routes to neighboring countries and to European markets. Russia's energy efficiency remains among the lowest in the world. The countrysides, its long, harsh winters, and its industrial structure provide a partial explanation for the high intensity of Russia's energy consumption. But even taking these factors into account, the potential for efficiency gains is still enormous. If Russia used energy as efficiently as OECD countries in each sector of the economy, in 2008, its energy intensity could be brought very close to the figure for Canada, which is the OECD country most similar to Russia in terms of average annual temperatures and added value in the GDP from energy and EV industry. In India, energy use has almost doubled since year 2000. 3/4 of India's energy demand is met by fossil fuels. Coal now accounts for 44% of the primary energy mix, mainly because of the industry and the power sector. Demand for bioenergy, fuel wood, straw, charcoal, and dung has grown in absolute terms, making these countries one with the highest dependence on this fuel. Oil consumption is mainly used in the transportation sector. Also, demand for diesel has been particularly strong over the last years. Natural gas makes up a relatively small share of the energy. Hydropower, nuclear, and modern renewables like solar, wind, and geothermal are used predominantly in the power sector, but play a relatively small role in the total energy mix. Despite its recent economic growth, poverty remains a huge challenge for India. Expressed on a per capita basis, energy demand in India has grown moderately and remains only around 1/3 of the world average. One reason is that a significant part of the Indian population remains without modern and reliable energy. For example, bioenergy accounts for roughly 1/4 of India's energy consumption. Traditional biomass will nonetheless remain the primary fuel in rural households, with associated damage to the health of women and children from indoor air pollution. In less than a generation, China became the world's second largest and fastest growing energy consumer. Demand for all forms of energy has been rising very fast in the last decades. Coal dominates energy use in China with about 67%. Today, China, together with India, account for a combined 45% of world coal demand. China's oil consumption is increasing of an average growth of 3.7% per year. More than 2/3 of the increase comes from the transportation sector, making China the world's second biggest oil importer. Use of natural gas increases faster than any other fossil fuel at an annual rate of 6.4%, but the share of natural gas in total demand is around 4.7%. The share of nuclear, together with other renewables, only accounts for 12% of primary energy demand. With this massive use of coal, China is by far the biggest contributor to incremental emissions, overtaking the United States as the world's biggest emitter in 2007. Although China's per capita emission in 2030 are only 40% of those of the United States and about 2/3 those of the OECD as a whole. The power sector, which is mainly fueled by coal, contributes most to China's CO2 emissions. Its share is projected to rise, as well as that of the transportation sector's share. South Africa's economy has grown rapidly since the end of the apartheid era in 1994. South Africa's energy sector is critical, as the country relies heavily on its large-scale, energy-intensive coal mining industry, while has limited proven reserves of oil and natural gases, and uses its large coal deposits to meet most of its energy needs, particularly in the electricity sector. South Africa also has a sophisticated synthetic fuels industry, producing gasoline and diesel, from the coal to liquids plant and gas to liquid plant. The synthetic fuels industry accounts for nearly all of the country's domestically produced petroleum, as crude oil production is very small. South African crude coal reserves were estimated at 33 billion short tons at the end of 2013, accounting for 95% of total African coal reserves and 3% of total world reserves. South Africa imports natural gas from Mozambique via pipeline to supply Sasol Secunda coal to liquid plant and to fuel some gas-fired power plants. South Africa produces a small volume of natural gas offshore, and it is mainly used to supply the Mossel Bay gas-to-liquid plant, which is one of the largest in the world. The country is the 8th largest holder of technically recoverable shale gas resources in the world. The BRIC countries have become key players on the world's economic scene, and the driver of such development is provided by their energy sector. This growth has not been without consequences. India, South Africa, and Brazil face large income inequality and high levels of corruption. Russia has met criticism for its energy industry and has been accused of contributing to the Arctic ice melt. Meanwhile, China has to deal with an ever-increasing problem of pollution. The next year to come need to see progresses in the shift toward a more sustainable energy system that may match BRICS' energy need together with a more equitable and environmental-friendly energy system.